podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to a new podcast, The Paddock and the Pavilion with Stephen Wallace. In each show, Stephen will interview someone connected to the world of horse racing or cricket.
Hello and welcome to The Paddock and the Pavilion. During the month of March, we will be having a few extra weekly episodes, and today's is an extra special one. As many of you will know, Park Lane Stables reached their campaign target of £1 million to save our stables at the end of February. And to get all the latest news from Teddington, I went back to the stables to chat to Natalie O'Rourke with the help of ponies Lily and Elliot in the background. In today's podcast, we focused on the support given by the horse racing industry to save our stables. Coming up later this week, you will hear from Denise O'Neill, an inclusion coach with Capital Kids Cricket, about some fantastic work they are doing in London hospitals. Enjoy today's podcast with Natalie, Lily and Elliot. Hello Natalie, welcome back to the Paddock and the Pavilion.
Hi Stephen, thanks so much for having me back on.
Well, congratulations on saving our stables at Park Lane. So much has happened since we last spoke on the 24th of January.
Gosh, yeah, that feels like forever ago, really. Yeah, a lot has happened since then in a really, really short time. But just want to say a really big thank you to all your listeners that got behind us from, well, if it was the 24th of January, then from day 24. But we've had a really massive support from people that heard your podcast. So thank you. It really made such a difference.
Well, thank you for that. And actually, I've got a question from one of our listeners, or two of our listeners, Alan and Paula, and they come from March in Cambridgeshire, where I'm from, and they've been big supporters of the Save Our Stables, and they wanted to know whether you were getting more sleep.
Yeah, I am now. Thank you for asking. I was literally rationing my sleep like a soldier because I just worked out that I couldn't waste any of the time that we had remaining by sleeping. So I was on sleep rations. And then when it ended, I thought, oh, I'll sleep. And everyone thought I would, but my brain just wouldn't switch off. So then it took me a few days to sort of press reset in my brain. And yeah, happy to say that I had a good night's sleep last night. So normal business is resumed here at the stables.
Well, that's good to hear. Well, since we last spoke, you've been on national television on BBC, ITV, you've been in the national press, and now you've even had an invite from the Queen. And we're going to talk about that later. You've said what it's been like, but what's your reaction now after the crowdfunding appeal has ended?
Well, just total gratitude, to be honest, to everybody that's got behind us. I mean, the really amazing thing is that we did this with the power of the people. We didn't get any big corporates behind us. We didn't get any money from our governing bodies. It was pure and simple, the power of the people. Elliot's disagreeing with me, but
yeah, he's shaking his head in the background there. Yeah,
he's shaking his head. But no, it was pure and simple people power. And I don't know if this is the right time to mention this, but there was one gentleman from the racing industry. So he's a racehorse owner, and he doesn't want his name to be put out there. But he came in at a really pivotal time because we'd kind of stalled. What had happened was all the local people had given support. I'd saturated my social media. So I'd basically spoken to every single person that I knew or every single person that had ever been here, and they donated. So we were kind of like, yeah, we'd stalled is a really good way of putting it. And somebody came forward that was a racehorse owner, and I had an hour on the phone with him, and he asked me loads of questions. You know, it was a bit like Dragon's Den, and I didn't know where the conversation was going. And at the end of the conversation, he said, I'm going to give you £50,000. And I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I was thinking, what do I say? Do I say wow, or do I say oh? And I was trying really hard to measure my sort of reaction to him. But anyway, he came through good as his word, and he pledged £50,000. But what happened was then that gave me personally like a massive boost to carry on. I thought, yes, he just came in at the right time to give us the boost that we needed. But also, I think it made a few other people go, oh, hang on, somebody's, given them a big chunk there and believes in them, and it's got other people to donate as well. And then he spoke to a few of his friends in the racing industry that are racehorse owners as well, and they put in significant amounts. So although like we're kind of like worlds apart from the racing industry, because like we've got cobs and sort of safe as houses type ponies and horses here. But what was just so heartwarming for us was that the racing industry got behind us and really believed in us and wanted to support us and really wanted us to be successful. And that was so amazing for us, and we're really, really grateful, and I hope that they all know what a massive difference they made to us.
Well, that's fantastic to hear. Going back just briefly about the television appearances, did you get much notice before you were on BBC Breakfast Time, Good Morning Britain, and Eamon and Ruth as well?
The Eamon and Ruth one was a bit dodgy. We had to do that one on an iPad with very short notice.
I'm sure they looked after you.
Yeah, it was just that it was us doing the technical bits. So us being horse people, we're not the best at technology. So it was that was the most sort of most fraught one, really. The BBC Breakfast, I think we got about maybe 24 hours notice for the first one. But then what happened was the presenter, Fiona Landon, her name is, she left, and she phoned me about 45 minutes later and said, Natalie, I think I'm going to have to come back. And I said, no, don't be silly, because obviously the money was going up. But I said, oh, don't be silly. I said, it'll maybe come back in a few days or next week, and we can do like the celebratory bit. But then she phoned me again about 15 minutes later, and she said, I'm coming back. We're coming back with the camera. We're coming now, because they could see that we were going to hit the million. So they came straight back, and it was really lovely because we hit the million, and then all the local people were coming and congratulating us, and the BBC were here to capture all of that. So, yeah, I mean, hats off to the BBC. They put it together really well, and I think that what is our version of normal, which is obviously our version of normal is dealing with people with disabilities all day, every day, and that's just what we do. But the BBC managed to put it across in such a way that it touched thousands of people. And we were quite astonished by that, because obviously it's our ordinary, but to other people it was extraordinary. And that's what made them get behind us, I think. And other people have said that it was because when they asked me the question and said, what would I do if we fail? They asked me something like that. And I said, I don't even allow my headspace to go there. It's just a waste of my energy. And people said that's perhaps what made people believe in us as well, because I was not going to entertain any negativity. Failure was not an option, really.
Yeah, I remember you answering in that fashion. So what happens now that you've raised the million? Actually, even you've gone past the million, haven't you?
Yeah, we've gone past the million. So I think we're about 1.3 at the moment. Well, we're a really tiny place, and we're really we were a tiny charity, and we've gone from being a tiny charity to now being like a medium-sized charity. So it's all a bit of a shock, to be honest, that it happened so quickly. So we've had to take some professional advice on how to move forward, because it's such a big change for us, and it's such a lot of money. We're really mindful of not getting the next part wrong. So last Friday we just pressed pause, and we thought, let's just not do anything over this weekend. Let's just try and get our heads together. And so we did that. Then we had a trustee meeting on Monday, and then basically we've some people that we trust that are more au fait with this type of thing. They're actually guiding us through the next phase. So we've obviously got to get the purchase through, and then what we really want to do is obviously find some grazing that we can call ours. So, but we are being guided through that because it is a bit of a minefield, and crowdfund are actually holding the money for us until for a while, because that was the other thing. It was a bit of a responsibility having all that money. We were a bit worried about that. So crowdfunder very kindly said they'll hold it in escrow until we're ready to draw it down, and that took a lot of pressure off us, because in a normal crowdfunding situation the money would be drawn down within like 7 days, but because we weren't quite ready, so and we all felt a little bit, unsure, so that they're holding it for us. And I've got to give them their due. They've been absolutely brilliant. Like, they've held our hand the whole way through this process, and they still are. So yeah, they've been brilliant.
So when does the lease run out?
31st of May.
Right, so you've got a bit of time. And
we've got a bit of time, not loads.
No. And I've read some reports that you might be buying some extra land as well. Is that right?
Yeah, so that's like our blue sky thinking, is that because at the moment we rent 15 acres off the Crown, and it's quite expensive, but it's not really that. It's just the fact that it could be taken away from us. So if we were to buy our own grazing, then it will just mean that we've always got grazing available to us, which obviously in the area that we are in southwest London, grazing is not that easy to come by. So yeah, in an ideal world, that's what we'll do. We'll buy our own land, and then we'll know that we've always got somewhere to turn them out, and that'll be a massive pressure off us as well.
Well, it sounds like you're taking some good professional advice. Do you also think you might do more lessons and things like that as well?
Yeah, I don't know if we can do more, because we were doing 3,000 a year before the COVID. So I couldn't put my hand on my heart and say we could do more without, putting ourselves in hospital, because we're a really small team. So I think in time we will expand, and hopefully we'll be able to recruit some more people. But we're not going to rush into that, because they have to be the right people. And also, if we were to expand, we'd need to get more horses. And as you know, they've got to be right for the job. So we're not going to rush into anything. What we will be able to do is offer more for less. So we'll be able to offer more free riding and more subsidised riding and driving, and just therapy sessions, really. So that's really nice, because obviously our overheads are going to be reduced, so it means that we can offer more to people that really need us. So that's a really nice position for us to be in.
Oh, that's very nice to hear, because obviously the local community have helped save our stables, haven't they?
Yeah, and the community are just really surprised us, because the thing is, we're always here and people know we're here, but they probably didn't have a massive awareness of what we were doing. But what's been great about the TV stuff is that people that live near us but are not sure what happens here, they've all of a sudden they know what's going on, and they feel more part of the stables, and that's been really lovely. The things that people have been saying to us and the notes we've been receiving are just so heartwarming.
Well, that sort of local community aspect of people was highlighted as well with Rob Brydon, because he's quite local to you, and he said on the telly that he used to walk past the stables, didn't he? So
yeah, and what happened in lockdown 1 was everybody changed their behaviour. So people that had never been anywhere near the stables, they suddenly had nothing to do but go for a walk. So many people discovered our existence on their daily walk, and Rob Brydon was one of those people. So previously, he didn't know we were here, and then he started walking with his family and discovered us. But I just think it's amazing that he got behind us the way he did, and he was so kind, giving his time to go on TV for us, and just having the power of his name behind us was a real game changer for us.
Now, as we're a horse racing and cricket podcast, but just focusing on the horse racing, I wanted to bring in some of the support which you've actually already mentioned, which you received from the horse racing industry. And personally, it was Nick Luck who I thought began the process, really, because you were on his daily podcast, the Nick Luck Daily, and you're also on Racing TV with him. He must have made a big influence to start with.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Luck, well, I mean, what a guy. He's been so good to us. And he put me on the podcast, and I'd have to listen to it back. I can't remember, but we didn't have very much money at that point. And, hats off to him. Like, he got behind us. And at some point I was thinking, oh, blimey, I bet Nick Luck wishes he'd never started this, because, he'd kind of like put his name to it, hadn't he? So without him, I don't think we would have had a voice in the racing community. And we got so much support via Nick Luck and from Nick Luck himself, even when I was sort of bouncing ideas off him and things like that. He's been absolutely brilliant to us. And I just think it's really important that, if we can get that message across, because sometimes people, the general public have a misconception about horse racing, don't they? They don't really understand it, and they stereotype people. But, the horse racing community, the owners, the trainers, the fans of horse racing, they've all got behind us, and they all really wanted us to succeed. And quite frankly, without them, there's no way we would have got to the halfway point, because it was really the local community, people that knew us, and the racing community that got us to the 550 before we got on BBC Breakfast.
Well, hats off then to Nick Luck. He's an excellent broadcaster. And two trainers I know that supported you were Fergal O'Brien and John Joe O'Neill. And I contacted John Joe O'Neill, and he very kindly came back with a quote. It's quite a long but very detailed one. I'm just going to read it out for the programme. I'm so pleased to know this fantastic stables has been so well supported and are now able to keep going and provide its wonderful service. Horses, like all animals, can be so calming and give support mentally and physically to us all and connect with us in a way far different to people. Especially in a big city, it's lovely these horses can give a change of scene and escapism to so many deserving recipients. It's important great causes like this get recognised, and I'm delighted for this happy ending.
Yeah, it's like stuff of dreams, isn't it, for John Joe O'Neill to get behind you, and Fergal O'Brien. They've been so good to us. And Fergal O'Brien emailed me and said, if there's anything you need, just let me know. And then when we were successful, he sent me another email and said, he's going to come here when he can. He really wants to come and see us all. And he said that I can take the kids there, to see the horses training. And it's just, it's stuff of dreams, isn't it, for people like that to get behind us and just have the time to take notice of us. And I think that's really so kind of them, because like I say, it's a total different spectrum of the horse world, isn't it? But at the end of the day, we all love horses and we're all working with horses and people. So although it's completely different things, we've got a lot of similarities, really.
Well, you're connected with pony racing, and I say, we said in an earlier podcast that both Holly Doyle and Tom Marquand both started in pony racing, like a lot of other jockeys. So there's that connection.
Yeah, and the thing is, everyone has to start somewhere, don't they? I know a lot of the kids of the trainers do the pony racing, and obviously they've got great opportunities and fast ponies. But we're talking about kids that would never have the opportunity to ride if we weren't here. And we're giving them a gateway into the industry, and we hope that they'll remain in racing for the duration of their careers. But we're giving them their first taste of racing and showing them that it is available to them, and that anybody can do it if they're prepared to work hard.
And you also had a video prepared by the very famous racing and sports presenter Claire Balding.
Yeah, so Claire she works quite closely with RDA in general. So she very kindly put her support behind us as well, which having her sort of stamp of approval is really, really important and really powerful. So yeah, we're really, really grateful to Claire. And yeah, like I say, she does know quite a lot about RDA and racing. So, she had quite a clear idea of what goes on here, really.
And you've been getting quite a few invites as well. You've got an invite to Newmarket Gallops, and you've also got an invite from a very famous racehorse owner, Her Majesty the Queen.
Yeah, so one of our volunteers, Bess, she was actually one of our pony racers. She raced at Ascot on Bob the Cob, and she wrote to the Queen, and I did actually say to her, what on earth did you ask the Queen? And she said that she wrote to the Queen and she told the Queen about the stables, and I think she told her about her race day at Ascot. And then very cleverly, she asked the Queen if she had any ideas of how that she could help the stables. But actually, then we got a letter after we'd succeeded, and the letter was written to Bess, and it said that the Queen was inviting 12 volunteers to go to Buckingham Palace and meet the horses there. So the young people could see how they care for their horses and the role of the horses at the Royal Mews. So, I mean, how amazing is that? I think it's just so brilliant that the young people are getting recognition because, everybody knows that horses are hard work, but we have young people that will rock up here at like 7 a.m. in the morning, and they're mucking out and they do all the grooming, they'll be exercising them in COVID. And it's just amazing that they've been recognised in this way. I'm so pleased for them.
So how old was the volunteers that wrote to the Queen?
She's 17 now. Yeah, so and she said that she's going to put names in a hat to see, who should go, because obviously we've got about 150 volunteers and they can't all go. So I said, I'm certainly not deciding. So Beth said she'll put their names in a hat and then she'll do it that way, because that seems to be the most fair way, really.
Well, that'll be a big draw when it takes place, won't it?
I know. We might have to do it Facebook Live or something, so it's definitely fair.
And of course, you had support previously from the Princess Royal, who's already previously been to Park Lane Stables, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. So the Princess Royal came in 2016. And it's quite funny because lots of people were writing to the Princess Royal, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, poor woman, she's getting hundreds of letters from these children thinking that, she's going to fix it. And she did write back to all the children that wrote to her and the adults. And basically she said that when the COVID's over, she's going to come. So, yeah, that's really exciting. And that will be a really special day. So we look forward to that when it's safe for her to come and visit us again.
And presumably the visit to the palace will obviously be when things return to normal, hopefully later in the summer.
Yeah, they said they'll contact us in June. So I think, it'll, as Boris goes, it's supposed to be after June the 21st, isn't it? Things are getting back to some sort of normal. So I imagine it will be some time after that. But it's something really nice to look forward to, isn't it, in the summer?
Certainly is, yeah. And you've mentioned the very kind racehorse owner who's donated 50,000. But are there any other people you'd especially like to thank while you're on the paddock and the pavilion?
Well, yeah, I mean, I could be like an Oscar speech here because so many people have helped us. I mean, I've already mentioned Nick Luck, but I've got to say thank you to him again because, for believing from the start, really. There was a volunteer called Kathy Cooper who was doing a lot of photography and social media and just getting it out to her network, and then she got some people to make some really beautiful things that we were sort of selling for quite significant donations. So but to be honest, there's so many people. I mean, there's children that were pushing leaflets through people's doors, and children that were decorating their windows in the hope that other people would see it and share it, and they were baking cakes and doing sponsored skipping in their garden. I mean, it was like an army of people, that were doing anything that they could to make it happen. There was one family, and they did a virtual Land's End to John O'Groats. So they were doing like a cycle or a walk each day and adding up the miles, and they were getting sponsored for that. So yeah, I mean, just so many kind people really that helped us to get where we are. And Rory Bremner deserves a mention because
I saw his video.
Yeah, so he was really kind. Like he direct messaged me on Twitter and said, "What can I do to help you?" And then I was a little bit cheeky and said, "Well, could you do a video?" You know, and then I thought, oh, maybe I've overstepped the mark asking him for that, but he did it. Yeah, and he also signposted us to some other funding, and yeah, really, really kind. But yeah, I mean, basically, I need to thank 35,000 people that pledged money, because that's how many people got behind us. Which is, I used to go to football every week, and at Griffin Park, and it held 12,000 people, and that's what I keep saying in my head. I'm like, it's like 3 times the amount of people you can fit in Griffin Park. I mean, that's a lot of people. So yeah, thank you to everybody really that believed in us and helped us.
But that sort of number just tells you it was the people that saved our stables because of the volume of actual supporters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did say that from day one. I had like a belief that maybe from the sort of legacy of Captain Tom, that I thought, well, you know, if many, many people gave what they could, we could do this. And obviously I had a lot of people telling me I couldn't do it, but anybody that knows me well will tell you that's my greatest motivator. If you tell me I can't do something, I'll be like, I can. So probably that spurred me on when people were saying, oh, you'll never do that, that's ridiculous. But it happened, you know, it happened. And like we had a donation yesterday of £1, 2 pages of A4 of gorgeous writing, the kindest things, and £1. But that pound, you know, added up to this 1.3 million pounds, you know. So yeah, that's how we did it. And the mystery racehorse owner, of course.
Oh, mustn't forget him. No.
And,
no. And also, you've been writing thank you letters as well. You've got a lot of letters to write.
Yeah, so we're handwriting back to every single person that wrote to us, because I just feel like they made the effort to write to us and go to a letterbox in the pandemic, and we're going to write back to them. Someone suggested that we should print cards, and I said no, because that, to me, that's just it's too impersonal. So we write back to every single person, and if they're children, we try and put a little gift for them, you know, and also people have shared stories about themselves that they obviously felt that they could connect with us, you know, reasons why they love horses or why they've been touched by the story, and tell us about when they used to ride when they were younger and things like that. So we're just taking the time to write back to them all, and even if it takes us like forever, we'll do it.
Well, that's very thoughtful of you.
Yeah.
The postman must have been busy.
Oh yeah, it's funny because the postman, you know, we had to give him a present every day because the amount of post that he was bringing, his arms must have been killing him. I mean, it wasn't this scale that Captain Tom was getting, but it was a mini version of that. And the postman would come every day and we'd bring him some chocolates or something to say thank you. But we're still getting post now. And then we have volunteers that come in and they open the post and go through it. And then there's actually 4 of us that are doing the replies at the moment.
As to the future, when do you think you'll be able to open again under the new rules?
Well, we're aiming towards the 29th of March, but we are really cautious. I mean, I'm very cautious about the COVID because, well, I'm really respectful of it, and we've come this far, we've done so well, and we're not going to fall at the last hurdle, you know. And remember, we're working with quite a lot of vulnerable people, so people are really pushing us, and, you know, what's happening. Well, we think we're going to open on the 29th of March, but what we don't know is what we'll be able to offer, because if the social distancing is still in place, we don't think we'll be able to do any assisted riding, we don't think we'll be able to lend any hats. So, you know, we're taking advice on that, and we're writing the risk assessments, and we're listening to our governing bodies. So we will be open on the 29th, but I'm just not sure what it's going to look like. But then I hope by the end of the summer we'll be back to normal and everybody can come again. That's the hope.
Yeah, because I would imagine when we get back to some sort of normality, you'll have quite a few people just turning up to see Park Lane Stables, let alone people wanting lessons and things like that.
Well, we've already had that. We've had people travelling to see us, and we've had to sort of gently say, well, we are in a national lockdown, maybe not. We always have, we used to have one horse outside for the public, but since we raised the money, we now have two, because there's so many people coming to say well done and just to have a look, out of curiosity. So yeah, we think that when the restrictions are lifted, we're going to have a lot of visitors. So we're planning for that as well. And like all the people that have purchased a brick, they're going to want to come and see their brick, aren't they? So we're planning how we're going to do that and where the display will be and so on. But yeah, I'm sure everyone can understand that we've got to get it all done carefully and properly. And yeah, we'd love to welcome every single person, all of the 35,000, but just when it's safe to do so. And we don't think we'll manage it this year because of the COVID, but next year we're going to have a really big street party and close the road and just invite everybody that wants to come and wants to see us and see the ponies, and just so we can say a big thank you to everybody, really.
Well, that'll be a popular event. And you've also got all myself included, or no rush, and I can see you've got plenty to do now before you really get back to normal. You've got all these people who are going to want their pony cuddles as well. Yeah,
the pony cuddles. So crowdfunders are still being really helpful, even though our campaign's over. So we're going to offer like virtual pony cuddles because of the COVID, and then what we're going to say is maybe if people are in a certain radius, they can come, but obviously we'll have to do it by appointment because we can't have everybody turning up at the same time. It's just, yeah. But to be honest, we've done the hard bit, haven't we? We've raised the money, so I'm sure we can work our way through it. And the people that have pledged, they wanted us to succeed, and they can see what sort of people we are, so they know we'll get there. We just got to work it out and do it properly. We've also got to write 1,000 pony positivity postcards because that was one of the rewards as well. So a really lovely man has done a watercolour of the outside of the stables for us, and we're having that made into the postcard. And then we're going to write all of those as well. So we're quite busy.
So are there going to be some postcards of the stables available as well, sort of thing, for people?
Yeah, there will be, yeah. And people were asking to buy the T-shirt that I was wearing on the telly.
Oh, the pink one, yeah.
Yeah, so the lady that made the T-shirt for me, she's put that on her website, and we've put a link, so if people really want one. But we need to change it to Saved Our Stables, because it says Save, but I think she's changed it so there's a D on the end. So then if people want to buy one to say they helped save the stables, then they can. So, yeah, but we'll thank every person. Well, some people wanted to be anonymous, which we totally respect. But if we've got people's details, we will manage to thank them. It might just take us a little while, that's all.
And who are the two friends behind you as we draw to a close? We've got Elliot, you said.
Lily.
Sorry, Lily, yeah.
There she is, that's Lily.
Yeah, she's very quiet, yeah.
And Elliot's gone to sleep, the other one.
Has he? He's obviously not a follower of the Paddock and the Pavilion.
Well, he's just come in from the field, so when they've been out in the field, they're quite chilled, aren't they? So he's just having a lie down now, I think.
Sunday night. Sunday night snooze, yeah. Well, thank you very much again, Natalie, for being on the Paddock and the Pavilion. I'm sure our listeners will keep a close eye out for the Park Lane stables, and I'm sure some of those people who donated listen to the programme and will probably at some time during 2021 and come along and visit you.
That would be lovely. Yeah, we'd love that. And just a huge thank you to to all your listeners that got behind us, because one or two of them have sort of reached out to me on email. So it's just thank you, because we couldn't have done it without you. Simple as that.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to The Paddock and the Pavilion. You can download the show on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher and Spotify. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at The Pad and Pav.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.